There's another 50 Shades movie. Great. I'm Dan Murrell.
I'm Roth Cornet, and this is a hostage situation. We must review this movie. And the interesting thing is that this movie feels like every single creative involved is in a similar position.
Yeah.
We've got to be here, so let's pull out our eyeballs and do this thing.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet last year.
I sure
Roth.
did.
I'm still not over the fact that we were supposed to review 50 Shades Darker together, and then at the last minute you're like, I couldn't make the screenings. I guess you'll have to review it alone.
I was
Sorry.
so busy.
So, yeah, I'm glad that we get to share this misery together.
Your opening was one of my favorite openings for a review, though.
Thank you.
Can we recapture it?
Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you like garbage.
Thank you. I like to get straight to the point. That's what I believe in doing, and that was what was in my heart, Roth.
Is it in your heart again this year?
Yeah, it is. But this was, I liked it. I was thinking about this movie, and it's strange because they're bad in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the first 50 Shades of Grey movie was like campily bad. Mm-hmm. The second one was kind of incompetently bad. And then this one felt like it was bad just to spite us, the audience, and those out there who were going to see the movie.
It almost, and we talked about this a little earlier, it almost feels angry at us.
It does.
You know?
It's like it's punishing us for going to see it.
Yes. And it's so clear that it is, nothing has ever been more phoned in than the writing on this movie. And it's not the performers. Look, I take no glee and I take no joy in tearing down movies. It's why I don't actually like doing movie reviews of movies I don't like. However, like, it's not their fault because this is so poorly written and so poorly constructed and nothing makes sense at all in this world. But they so don't want to be there, and you can feel it.
Much like the last one, I kept waiting for the movie to start.
Yeah.
Because, like, things kept happening, and I'm like, okay, well, at some point here, the main plot of the movie is going to begin. No.
Yeah.
It's a random series of occurrences that aren't connected together really by anything. You throw in some obligatory, and they have never felt more obligatory than they do in this movie, sex scenes. Just inconsequential.
If you never want to have sex again, you'll watch these. I mean, it's really crazy, right? Because the one thing, we did a video that'll be coming out this weekend that are about movies that are sexy in lieu of 50 Shades. And one of them that I mentioned, which isn't even necessarily a great movie, is 9.5 Weeks. But it does what it's meant to do. It has a very straightforward plot. It has a heated relationship between the two leads. And then it's done. This movie has an alarming amount of interwoven plot that takes mental gymnastics to justify the amount of coincidences it takes to get you through this plot is alarming.
And then it just kind of veers from one thing, like it's a movie full of non sequiturs. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe that's happening. You need a haircut.
Yeah.
Like that's literally a transition in this movie.
And there's a line, and this isn't a spoiler. There's a line in the last movie
Here's the spoiler, it sucks.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it's really terrible.
It's not good.
In the last movie, there's a moment in which she's trying to get Christian to open up to her, and he does. He reveals this very dramatic event from his childhood in which his mother died, and he was there for 3 days, and she goes, thanks for talking with me about that. Look at that boat. I shit you not. That's a line. And like, this is that whole movie of like random segues out of dramatic events that don't have any drama because they're disconnected from everything.
They have anti-chemistry, these two.
Yes.
Not only no chemistry, it sucks chemistry out of the audience.
Yes. I feel like it's probably going to take me at least 3 weeks to get my mojo back. And not that I had much of mojo anyway, so I can't afford to waste any 50 Shades.
A list of what you would think would be objectively great things that this movie ruins. Obviously sex.
Yes.
Ice cream.
Yes.
Paul McCartney.
Yes.
The
beach.
The beach.
Jet skis.
The concept of love, luxury,
commitment,
wealth,
family,
yeah, children.
It's certainly children.
Cooking, food in general.
In general.
This is just. It feels contemptuous. And you know, the laugh is on. E.L. James gets the last laugh. She's set for generations. She is Christian Grey. She has tens of millions of dollars. She got her husband hired to write this movie,
and it shows.
It's terrible. But at the other sense, like, what else would you expect? But this is the one. This is the only one that seems like it felt like Sam Taylor Johnson in the first movie knew what kind of movie she was making,
yes, and
kind of played into it. And you know, at least you know the sexiness in the first movie seemed to belong there, and it was shot competently. It actually had a style to it, and you could tell like there were. E.L. James clashed with her about that movie, and you could tell the reason why is because she was trying to make a movie,
yes,
and tell a story. And E.L. James was like, "But that's not how I wrote it." But they were written awfully. So this is just, these are two movies, and this one more than even the last one. No style, no substance, no story. There's nothing there.
There is really nothing there, and I think you're absolutely right in that. I think what Sam Taylor Johnson imagined she might be able to do when she took on that project initially was take a base premise and actually adapt it into a new form and play with it a little bit and create something entertaining. But that didn't happen because E.L. James was given so much power on the set to push back, even more so in the follow-up films. And so this is a film that feels exactly like what it is. It is a shot-for-shot depiction of a very poorly written piece of fan fiction based on a mixed reviewed series of books already. So it's like, it's a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a not great idea. And these are this is riddled with terrible messages. If you were to take any of this seriously, you would walk away with a very poor viewpoint on how relationships should go.
And and more than any of the other movies, our heroes, Christian and Anna, are objectively awful people. They are the worst. And the movie tells us that we should love them. And it's like, no, she didn't earn her job. I would be openly contemptuous of her. Like, there's this thing where it's like Christian has this conversation with her. It's just like, it's really unfair how people treat you. You know, they think that you just got the job because you married me. You got that job through hard work and determination. And it's really not fair that they think that you slept your way to the top. And then like 3 scenes later, he's like, hey, babe, I know you're at work, but we're going to Aspen. She's like, okay, see you later, bye, and just walks out of work. It's like, I would hate her if I worked in that office, and she didn't earn that job. And it's like, but the movie is completely unaware of that. They want us to worship this rich a-hole and this brainwashed wife of his who he has completely corrupted and turned into just a monster. And I don't like these characters. And it's not in that way of like, well, you know, sometimes movies have unlikable protagonists. No, it's not in that way. It's in a completely blissfully unaware way of the fact that you're asking us to admire these people that are objectively awful. Worst.
I would say that the movie's greatest sin, and you make a really good point. I was watching the movie with a colleague, and she at a certain point turned to me and said, who's this lady? And I was like, oh, that was her co-assistant in the last film, but then she got all these promotions because nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense. And when he said that, you've earned this job through hard work, and I was like, through 15 minutes of it? What are you talking about? Exactly. You have not earned anything.
She literally gets a promotion. Like,
you legitimately slept your way to the top.
There's one relatable character in this movie, and it's a woman who works in her office.
Yeah.
And when she comes back to work after her honeymoon, she's like showing her new office. She's like, hey, this is your new office. It got completely remodeled, and you got a promotion even though you weren't
even here.
And she's like painted in the movie as just like
the villain.
And it's like, no, she's the only reasonable person in this entire universe.
Absolutely. She is. And she's got it right. And not only that, it takes on a number. This is the worst sin of the movie. I'm going to name the second worst sin, then the worst. The second worst sin is that it takes on real issues in life, like sexual harassment in the workplace, and totally demolishes any legitimacy to that conversation, and is so poorly handled. But the actual worst sin for me is that they're boring. And that has always been the worst sin of this franchise, which is that this is a movie that meant to be about hot sex, and it could not be more plot heavy and boring. Have you watched anything that's meant to be sexy or sensual? Because this isn't it at all.
It's obvious that they haven't.
And they riff on a food scene from 9.5 Weeks that is so iconically sexy and managed to make me never want to consume vanilla ice cream again in my life. Vanilla.
Yeah. It's. I know that we are making this sound like bad in the way that you have to go see it. I will repeat the advice that I gave you with 50 Shades Darker. Don't do it. Don't let curiosity get the best of you. Just don't.
And I will second that 1,000%. And again, I take no pleasure in these negative reviews. I really don't.
No.
But don't go see it. This is not just a plug. We literally have a video coming out this weekend, offering alternatives to this that are movies that are sexier than 50 Shades of Grey. No joke. One of them's a commercial. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are also so many Oscar contenders and family movies.
There's a number of things.
A number of things.
Go watch Call Me by Your Name.
Go watch
romance.
Go watch literally anything.
Yeah.
Anything but this. Anything but this. That is my ruling. Don't
There are
do
one or
it.
two things I would scratch off the list of anything but this, but they're mostly illegal things.
No, well, there you go. So that's our thoughts on 50 Shades Freed. I hope that we were clear enough with our viewpoints on this movie. And maybe, Roth, next time we'll get to tell them what we really think of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like we weren't honest enough.
I'm Dan Murrell, and I'm glad this is over with.
I'm Roth Cornet, and we are 50 Shades Freed!
Until they make it mission.